If you still have presents to wrap, there is still time to make one of these adorable wrappings from a fat quarter. I'm working from this Ruby Star Society panel that has 4 fat quarters printed on 1 yard of fabric. So if you are working from traditional fat quarters, then yours are already cut apart and ready to go. Once I have my fat quarters cut apart and ready, then I am going to cut 18-inch squares from these fat quarters. And that is just the biggest square I can cut from a fat quarter. If you are working with a larger piece of fabric, then you can feel free to make this any size that you want. You could even make a full 36-inch yard square, or even get a 1.25 yards and make a 40-inch square. The size of square that you end up with will determine how large of a gift you can wrap easily. I actually made a little bit of a cutting error here, and my squares are 17 by 18, but that's fine. I'm also cutting little 2-inch strips from the leftovers, and these will make the bow. I'm fussy cutting this little red and white stripe here because it was too cute to pass up. Once we have our square and our long skinny rectangle cut, it is time to deal with the raw edges of our fabrics. I'm going to fold over about 1/4 inch here, and this does not have to be exact. This is a gift wrap, not a rocket. So you can eyeball this, and once you're done, then you're going to fold it over again and press it really strongly, like make a nice solid crease in your fabric. If you want to use a little bit of starch or steam to really get those lines in there, we will be using them again in the next step when we miter our corners. I'm going to do this on each of the 4 sides of the square. You can leave that little ribbon tie set aside for now. We'll deal with that after we're done with the square. When you open up your corners after pressing the fabrics in twice, you're going to see this little square here that appears. And we want to draw a line or just note it somehow that we're going to cut through the diagonal of that square. I'm going to use scissors here. If you want to use a rotary cutter and a ruler, that would also work. Then we're going to fold over that raw edge so that we are folding on this X. You want that X to be kind of in the interior of the fold. That will allow that raw edge of the miter to be totally encased in the miter corner here that we're creating. You're going to refold those ironed folds that we created again, and that raw edge is now nicely tucked inside of a nice crisp miter. I'm going to put a clip on this one and then repeat that for all the other 4 corners. Once you have mitered and clipped your 4 corners, we are going to stitch our double fold down. And I am stitching just as close as I can to the edge of the fold here. I am using white thread, contrasting thread, so that it is visible, but if you want to use a matching thread, you will need to change out both your bobbin and your top thread. As you approach the corner, you can remove the clip, and I like to use a little stiletto to make sure my folds are nice and tight and neat, and if you need to take a moment just to refold things, then you certainly can. I stitch just until my needle is right at the fold, at the line of the miter, and then I can raise my presser foot and rotate my work, and then start zipping down, sewing the next side. Now it's time to make our cute little ribbon tie. I am going to fold my 2-inch rectangle here in half to create a nice midline fold. Then I'm going to open it back up and fold both raw edges in towards the center so that we're creating like a double fold bias tape, even though this isn't cut on the bias, it is straight grain. But the concept here is the same. We just want to enclose those raw edges in the center. You can do this one side at a time if you are more comfortable with that. I just press both sides in with my fingers and move down the strip. Once you have finished that, then you are going to refold it at that center line so that we now have the raw edges all the way inside and folds on both of the long edges. To take care of the raw edges on the short sides, we are going to open up our double fold tape and just fold in about 1/4 inch or so, and then refold those double folds. I like to put a little clip on the edge to hold it all while we sew all the way around our double fold tie here. A couple of clips will help everything stay nice and neat. I sew on all 4 sides and just sew as close as I can to the edge of this strip. If you have an edge foot, that might be helpful, but just take it slow, or you could use a decorative stitch and go right down the middle. And now the fun part, it's time to wrap. I can fit up to about a jelly roll in a square of about 18 inches like this. Just give 2 opposite corners a little overhand knot, and then bring the other 2 corners together and do the same. Now I made a little tag here out of fabric. I just wrote my name and from Santa because obviously this jelly roll is for me. I can slip that on the little tie here and then slip that tie under the top knot in my fabric square and give it a little overhand knot to secure the knot together, and then it is ready to gift. I have been trying to move away from wrapping paper for quite a number of years and have made many of these, and they are always well received. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's a easy, quick project that you can make at the last minute, and stacked up, they all look absolutely adorable around gifts and under the tree. Happy quilting!